Hey, Randy Joe here, and welcome back to the channel, where throughout the month of August we have been listening to different country albums for August Country. And today we are continuing things by listening to Purple Mountain's debut singular album, the self-titled Purple Mountains. Now, technically I do have a rule when I do these monthly music series, of which I do not listen to the same artist twice. I want to make that, I've kept that a fairly strict rule so far, because otherwise we would be listening to multiple albums every month from the same artist, where I feel like it would just become a little bit too cluttered and biased and unfair. Today, though, we're kind of breaking that rule a little bit, because we are listening to Purple Mountains, which is another stage name for Mr. David Berman. Now, David Berman, we have previously covered on this series in his album American Water by Silver Jews just a couple videos ago. So technically, this is the same artist, but also technically, it's not. So we're going to use a little bit of a loophole there. I'm pretty excited for this one. I've been recommended this one a few times by a few people already, but specifically one fan in general said that this was their favorite album of all time. They related it to the most of any musician, any album. From what I gather, it seems to be the most meaningful album to this commenter on my channel. And for you, I'm doing this video specifically for you. Now, like I've been saying, this is the only album released under the Purple Mountains stage name by Mr. David Berman. And it was also the last album to be released by him because he committed suicide shortly after this album's release. In fact, not even a month had fully passed, and he had hanged himself in his apartment, from what I read, which is terrible, obviously. Rest in peace, because he was an incredible musician. I've heard American Water many, many times since that initial reaction I did. Love it still. I think it's a great record. It's only continued to grow on me more. And David Berman was a fantastic musician who honestly deserved a lot more recognition for what he did. Especially for the alt country genre. And this album seems to deal, from what I've heard, with his depression, the passing of his mother, the struggling marriage he had for many years at that point. It feels like, the way things went for him were somewhat inevitable. And I'm kind of curious to see just how depressing this album is, especially since the second track is literally called All My Happiness Is Gone. So the writings were on the wall. This first track, as part of this swan song of an album, is That's Just the Way That I Feel. Let's get into it.
Well, I don't like talking to myself, but someone's gotta
love his voice.
Hell, I mean, things
oh, picks up quite a bit here. Right off the bat, these lyrics are just very dark, very depressing. Honestly, not too surprising what would soon follow after this album. He tells it in such a brutal honesty, though. I gotta say, I feel like most musicians dress up depression in a sense of abstract or poeticism. It seems like David Berman sometimes is quite blunt with his depressing state. Neck and neck with giving in. Ooh. That's a tough line. I do love that great country sound that he works with. Like, it feels so kind of throwback-ish in its country tone, while still working in a nice kind of new, refreshing take on it. Lots of playing with tempo on this track. That's just the way that I feel. I fell ill in Illinois. I nearly lost my genitalia. Not sure what that's about. I was so far gone. seems like he's struggling, troubled, no matter where he goes. This is a credible opener, though. As depressing it is, certainly sets the stage. I love this whole kind of chorus. That is an incredible opener. I feel like it really just hits you with the depths of depression that he's in. That kind of hopeless attitude he has. Or had, I should say. Let's keep going. All My Happiness Is Gone is the next one here. Is this album going to get progressively more crushing? I sure hope not, because that opener, honestly, some of it was kind of tough to hear knowing where things went. Feels like a suicide note in a way. There's almost like a sense of nostalgia in the tone. He feels like such an honest singer, the way he chooses to sing. No unnecessary showboating in his voice. This is that's a really tough set of lyrics to listen to. From the barely hanging on to this point. Crazy how even in these really depressing depths, he's creating music of beauty. The production sounds fantastic. I love the kind of almost stream of consciousness tone. The way it all just kind of flows off each line. Such a punchy sound despite being so depressing. I love the way that picked up and kind of flows right into the pocket of the sound. Great. Oh. Great imagery throughout this one. Beautiful lyrics. Speaking on here, I like the Silver Lake, Snow Cloud, Shadow Interstate, Icy Bike Chain Rain of Portland, Oregon. I like that whole passage. I feel like it paints a nice, vivid picture. And the lyric is, again, very blunt in that chorus. Let's just keep it going into Darkness and Cold. And such a punchy sound while still kind of having, like, those strings feel very pained, kind of harrowing. Maybe a sense of nostalgia, as Berman knows he's reaching the end of his life. Like talking on his ex-wife. I wonder if that's the Mellotron there. Ooh. I like that effect in the background. Maybe it's some sort of laughter. The pain of seeing your ex with someone else. I really like the atmosphere and chemistry of this record so far. Production-wise, everyone just feels very tight. Nice light sound to it as well, while being heavy lyrically. Love that washed out effect. I feel like the atmosphere of this record feels like we're in some sort of kind of like dark rundown bar, listening to some sort of drunkard spill out about his pained, depressing life with such brutal honesty. You know, you can't help but feel sorry for him more than anything. And there's such a raw talent within him as well. It's got a nice folk, country, slight rock inspired sound all mixed in. Let's keep it going into Snow is Falling in Manhattan. Very hopeless sound too, lyrically, to all this. Like there's no glimmer even of hope, it would seem.
Springs to action. Salts the stew.
I love the steadiness of the drums on this one.
Cat in. Snow,
Oh,
snow,
really
snow,
beautiful surrounding sound to this chorus.
levels rising on the island.
A simple chorus lyrically, but beautifully layered
There's no sign
in
of
its sound.
soon subside.
Oh, I love that kind of washed out, wavering effect.
Songs build little rooms in time.
These songs all feel so fleshed out and so complete in their vision. Wonderfully layered, great production.
Is the ghost the host is left behind.
His performance, brutally honest. I really like that effect too. The trumpet too as well throughout this one, which I spoke on earlier, had a nice kind of calling out sound. I think this is the pedal steel, which has a nice gentle tone. Doesn't feel like a 6-minute track at all either. I just love the very vivid direction it takes. And there's the trumpet. Again, in the distance, has a hazy effect. So beautiful. Some really just gorgeous, dense layering throughout that throughout that track, which seems to be a highlight of the record so far in general. Loved it. Margaritas at the Mall. There's this one here.
Under such a subtle God, how long can the world go on?
Lost his faith, it would seem.
Word from God. See the blood
That man's just really struggling to find any semblance of hope.
from God. We're just drinking
Oh,
margaritas at the mall. That's what this
those trumpets carrying on to this track.
after all. Magenta orange.
Depressed, alcohol infused, hopeless. I do like this one a lot, but I do feel like it
We're just drinking
might be my least favorite so far that I've heard. Has a more repetitive nature to it.
this happy hours got us by the ball.
But I do love this chorus.
Magenta orange, acid green, peacock blue.
And I gotta mention again, once again, the layering. Gorgeous arrangements throughout. Berman. A phenomenal composer if this is all his kind of arrangements. And a real shame. Because he was such a talent. Yeah, I like that one a lot, but it's not personally my favorite. It just feels like another solid track, though, overall, with some, again, great arrangements. She's making friends. I'm turning stranger. I'm a gathering. This is probably going to have some references or allusions to his ex-wife, or the wife he was struggling to maintain a marriage with. Again, a lot of these tracks feel very, you know, autobiographical, and kind of show all these glimmers into his overwhelming sense of depression.
I want to be tantamount to cordial, tantamount to good,
I like these opening lines.
but I don't know how to do it.
His voice, too, is so warm. Like a sad
She
cowboy.
can't make it to her car. She's
Real
making
twangy
friends.
guitars on this one, too.
I'm turning stranger, seen as I'm held in such disdain. Yeah.
Ooh.
She's making friends.
Seems like this
I'm turning stranger.
protagonist, perhaps Berman himself,
I see
is
lots of
unloved and
wrong men.
unwanted in this town.
I'm a loser, she's a gainer.
A lot of self-doubt in the lyrics, too. A real lack of confidence, which is probably a big reason as to why she seems to be so easily attractable to people, while he seems to be one of almost like a look of disgust. But again, this is his perception. Maybe people don't view him this way, and this is just Berman's own depression and kind of self-doubt and self-hatred taking control and manipulating the way he thinks people perceive him.
That's one thing I wish their danger.
Really great lyricism, though. Ooh. Not sure what this is. Sounds like some sort of violin or something. Not too sure what that string instrument is, but it sounds beautiful.
She's out with her friends.
Really leaning into that country tone as well.
Really, I can't blame her. Stranger.
This is one of my favorite tracks so far.
She's making friends.
I don't know what it is, but I'm just loving it.
I'm turning stranger.
Just like really great instrumentation. Great lyrics. A lot that could be delved into and analyzed. And the country sound on this track too is so apparent. I love it. I love it. I love this track. Maybe my favorite. Might just be my favorite. A real twangy country tune, very depressing. I love the self-doubt, the self-hatred within it. I love the way it's delivered. Really no complaints on that one. I think that is maybe, again, like I said, my favorite track so far. Let's go into I Loved Being My Mother's Son. Ooh, this is going to be a toughie, because this one's about his mom, who had passed before this album came out, of course, and his struggles with it, I'm imagining.
Way back when I first begun, starting when I first
Someone who's fairly close to his mother. This might be a hard listen.
The word had come. I love being my mother's son.
That harmonica sliding in, adding to that pain. Perhaps no more of a pained instrument than a harmonica. I love these backup vocals. Really sweet and syrupy. Ooh. Berman here playing his heart, his soul into this guitar. Feels like a solo to her. Ooh. I like the pitter patters too. A really touching tribute to his mom. That one was also incredibly touching. And another great track, so fleshed out, so beautiful. The songwriting is gorgeous throughout this album. Very sincere, just raw songwriting. Perhaps the rawest songwriting I feel like maybe I've covered on this channel, completely honest. At least this year I feel like. And I've covered a lot of albums. But I just love how genuine it feels. None of it feels like a farce of any kind. Let's just keep it going. I would say the good times. These are not the good times, but let's keep the times going. And tonight's That Won't Happen. So far, I have liked every single song. Don't know how that last one had the least streams. I think I like this album more too than American Water, which is a great album. But I feel like there's just so much honesty in this record, and it really oozes a sense of atmosphere and emotion. Damn. Thinking about all that can't be. Again, adding to his depression. I feel like spending time thinking about what could have been is blinding him from what really is, and appreciating what he currently has, or even appreciating what he previously had. Instead, he's kind of tainting it all. Really bad, really troubling mindset to let yourself sink into. His voice kind of reminds me of Michael Gira from Swans.
This world is like a roadside inn, and we're the guests inside. And death is a black camel that kneels down so we can ride. The dying's finally done. The suffering subsides. All the suffering gets done by the ones we leave behind.
Hold up. This world is like a roadside inn, and we're the guests inside. And death is a black camel that kneels down so we can ride. Like, that is such a nonchalant delivery of such an incredible, powerful line, I feel like, that displays so much about Berman's mind and mental state, and the way he perceives things, while at the same time, it's just a beautiful lyric all on its own.
All the suffering gets done by the ones we leave.
Great atmosphere once again. These instrumental passages fully exploring the atmosphere of each track. I feel like I said everything I had to say about that one during it. So let's continue right into storyline fever. Oh. Picking up the energy a little bit on this one. Really love the delivery of those lines. A lot more charisma and energy in his flow lines. I like the "don't you reckon it's affecting your attitude." Rolls off the tongue. Love that descent. I love the vocals. I believe it's John Andrews and Jeremy Earl who really provide a nice backup vocal. Those backup vocals really enveloping, beautiful sound. Yeah, similar to American Water. Long instrumental passages to fill out the time, which honestly are certainly worthwhile with how tight and great the chemistry is of all the band members. Especially since they kind of jam out and kind of go their own way. Also reminded me of Brian Eno for some reason. No idea why. I think it's that kind of twangy guitar. Remind me of some of his ambient work in the 70s. Love that one. Very catchy, upbeat nature in that one. While still fitting the atmosphere. Let's go to Maybe I'm the Only One for Me. Sorry. This is the last track in the track list. Closing out the album. So far, every track has been stellar. Great atmosphere. Let's close it out.
Holidays in lonely haunts at closing time.
Certainly has a depressing title still.
The only one for me.
Comfortably Alone. Ooh.
Starlit walks, making plans.
Great use of space.
Talk. All I see are couples in the street.
Souring his mind. This loneliness.
Only one for me.
Ooh, I love the start and stop. Oh.
Yeah, maybe.
Coming to terms with reality, maybe. And maybe there's a bit of a silver lining to this track.
If no one's fond of fucking me.
Oh.
Maybe no one's fucking fond of me. Yeah, maybe.
That witty humor. I really like this chorus. Again, there's a strong silver lining to this depressing track. Ooh, bit of a groovy little jam here. It's kind of a closing out the album with accepting the fact that he's alone, accepting that he'll have to learn to really just love himself more than anything. But still, certainly a depressing tone in his vision. It feels like he's not fully embracing the idea that he puts out here, which, I mean, not at all surprising considering a month after this album came out, he did kill himself. So that certainly doesn't really help when you know that the track, although trying to be uplifting, really didn't have a strong turnaround for him mentally. That being said, this is a great album that is extremely crushing and depressing lyrically. I mean, it's not too surprising where things went, especially when you have tracks like Darkness and Cold, Nights That Won't Happen, She's Making Friends, I'm Turning Stranger, or of course, All My Happiness Is Gone. I feel like the writing's on the wall for where things went just a month after this album came out. Not too surprising. That being said, I do think he does paint it quite vividly. He's very blunt in his lyricism, but he also can be quite metaphorical in his lyrics. So it's like you're getting the stark contrast between the in-your-face, depressing, suicidal ideation, or at times you're getting the very abstract, kind of witty commentary that I feel like he was known for in his previous albums. On top of that, the atmosphere is fantastic. It's very rich, very layered. Lots of kind of jammy sections too. No full-length instrumental tracks, but there are some really lengthy instrumental passages within each track that I feel like really shows the chemistry and the overall kind of cohesive sound of the album. Even the most upbeat track, Storyline Fever, has like that kind of sad, drunken cowboy kind of tone to it. Nothing really negative to say about this one. I think this might be one of my favorite albums I've listened to for August Country. Snow is Falling in Manhattan, again, that's another one too. Just looking at this track list, every track here had something I loved. I loved just the layering and the really gorgeous, kind of lonely feeling of Snow is Falling in Manhattan, the layering within it. My least favorite, probably Marguerite's at the Mall. But all in all, this is a really brilliant LP, and certainly worthy of a listen for this, minor legend of his subgenre. And I appreciate the recommendation as well from the user who suggested it, who said that he relates heavily to Berman's work. And knowing that, I gotta say, whoever you are, the commenter out there, I'm sure you're definitely watching this video. I know you requested it quite heavily. And I have to say to you, if you're relating to this, just know that you're not alone, because this is, a really beautiful album and showing that although there's a sense of loneliness, there is certainly a sense of appreciation people will give you. You just need to find those people. So, stick it out. We've all been there. But that does it for today's video. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe to follow along in listening to more albums alongside myself. Pretty soon we will be starting September, the month of September, which I'm just gonna say now, we're doing Soul September. So if you have some soul albums you want to recommend, go ahead and recommend them down below. But there are some pretty big soul albums I have to cover still that I've never listened to. One glaring one especially. So look out for that. As always, my name is Randy Joe. I appreciate you watching, and I'm signing off.